Welcome back to Fox 5's On the Hill live this Sunday morning. There's been a revelation of more classified documents found at President Biden's home this past week, and it adds to the political and legal challenges the president is facing. What impact is this having on his leadership? We want to welcome in Democratic Congresswoman from Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, who joins us live this Sunday morning. Congresswoman, good to see you. You formerly, in a past life, worked at the CIA. How concerning is this from your view? Not only the fact that these classified documents were there, but this whole other larger issue of what kind of job do we do in our government about holding on to classified documents?
Well, I think you're asking some of the important questions. Certainly, as a former CIA officer, I worked in classified spaces. I dealt with classified information every single day. And so it is alarming that there would be marked classified documents outside of controlled spaces, outside of secure locations. And so I think it's incredibly important that the Attorney General has appointed a special counsel. I think that that investigation is going to be important to determining not only what risk might have been present with documents being outside of controlled spaces, but also how this might have happened, because certainly we want to ensure that anyone who has access to classified material at any level is doing their part to keep that information safe, but also that the processes and the systems where classified information is put into the hands, particularly of someone in an executive role or in members of Congress, as an example, that those documents are pulled back and put in secure spaces as is required and as is proper.
We've got other things we want to ask you about, but before we leave this topic, we have this last batch that we became aware of that the FBI has found going back to November. The Biden administration apparently was aware that this happened. It wasn't revealed until much later. Do you have questions about this, that they knew that this was out there and then didn't say anything about it?
Well, so my understanding is that while it was understood, it wasn't revealed publicly, but it was brought to the Department of Justice quickly. And so my main concern is what happens to these documents and how quickly was the concern related to the documents handled appropriately, meaning putting them back in the hands of individuals who would ensure that they were stored properly. I think that as part of congressional oversight, we should explore the topic of when this was made public. But for me, the most important element of this, as has been reported so far, is that the Biden administration was quick to report the circumstance to the Department of Justice.
Now, we are in the midst of a period of time right now where the debt ceiling needs to be raised. We're hearing from some Republican members of Congress that they want something in exchange for that, and that would be budget cuts. There is concern that some of this disagreement is going to lead to the United States defaulting on its debt. Are you concerned that that's going to happen?
I'm deeply concerned. There is nothing more irresponsible than letting the United States default on its debt, than jeopardizing the full faith and credit of the United States on the global stage, and demonstrating for partners and competitors alike that the United States is at times willing to just not pay our debts. It's incredibly dangerous. It's absolutely irresponsible, and it poses innumerable economic and national security risks. I certainly recognize that we should always be forward-leaning on conversations about how we are handling our deficits and our debt, how we are working to ensure that the investments we are making in our own country are sustainable. But the idea that any lawmaker would play with fire and try and hold the full faith and credit of the United States hostage because of some ideal that they have of cutting Social Security or cutting defense spending, to me, is just absolutely unthinkable.
Congressman, you're part of a group called Problem Solvers, and in this day and time, you look for places where people might be able to find some common ground. Outside of the name, how does that group work, and are you able to bridge some of these differences that those of us on the outside look at sometimes, and see some of you in Congress a million miles apart from each other at times?
So Problem Solvers is a group of Democrats and Republicans in equal numbers. Last Congress, we had 28 and 28. This Congress, there's a lot of new members who want to join us. Some of our members have retired, so final numbers yet to be determined. But we are a group of legislators across the political spectrum who endeavor to work together, find areas of common ground, and work with the purpose and focus of good governance. We have been aggressively engaged in topics and conversations related to the debt ceiling and hope to be really important partners there. Notably, the Republican co-chair, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, has been very vocal on the debt ceiling issue and very vocal, demonstrating from a Republican standpoint that there is really no room to even hint at a potential default. And so the Problem Solvers Caucus, we endeavor to try and be a bridge to try and bring people together. We were the ones who did the initial legwork to get moving on an infrastructure bill, and there's been a variety of places where we've played a valuable role. I would hope I would call it. And certainly something as contentious as this issue is yet another place where I think all of our caucus members really want to be engaged, productive partners.